So let me tell you, why don't we start? I'm going to tell you a little bit about my experience in meditation this morning. So I got up kind of late for me. I got up at like 6 a.m. That's pretty late for me. And went downstairs, had coffee, and sat in my little meditation chair. And I was like, let's see what arises. And what arose was this desire to open my my Kindle app on my phone. Oh, here's my daughter's Halloween costume. There's Nina's costume. And there's my other daughter texting me. Oh, I hope she doesn't need to be picked up right now. That would be really embarrassing. Yeah, so this morning, so I'm sitting, and it arises, I pull up the Kindle app, and I look at Emptiness Dancing, Adyashanti's book. And what I find is when there's an urge to do that, the exact thing that I'm supposed to see seems to show up. So the exact page, the exact topic, the exact pointing, and Adya's very good at that. You know, Emptiness Dancing it's a masterpiece of that, of just emptiness dancing, of reality empty of self, completely impermanent, radically loving and inclusive. And he somehow puts in words what is unspeakable. It's really quite impressive. So that said, the chapter comes up and it's entitled Control. And I've read this book like twice at least, but I'll go back and randomly look at different segments. And so this shows up, Control. And it really was exactly what I needed to hear that morning. And this is what he was talking about. Fundamentally, you can have awakening. You can have a clear realization of your true nature, that you're not the body, you're not the mind, you're this vast awakeness that is indescribable. And that can be realized, that can be deeply understood at the deepest level, and you can still energetically, intellectually, and actually feel like a separate self who has the ability to push and pull on reality, to control reality, to somehow make things happen or not happen. And what Adya said in this chapter was on point. It is probably the everything when it comes to liberation, freedom from suffering, is addressing that fundamental, deepest sense that I need to control things. That this is not good and I need to make it good, or this is good and I need more of it. And that sense of control operates from a fundamental delusion, which is that the controller, the person, the self apart from reality exists and has a sense of agency and can do things, can make things change in the world. And of course you'd feel that way because you get validation all the time from society, from parents, from your upbringing, from what seems like physical reality, like, oh, I pick up this laptop, it moves over here. I decide to do this, and then I can make this happen. But investigation, like actual sitting and paying attention to your immediate experience, can show you quite clearly that no, actually, everything is just happening. If you think you're making a decision, look for the one making the decision and you can't find it. All that's happening is decisions. Decisions are happening. They're coming from a deep mystery. And, you know, we've talked about free will and other things like that. So the question then is, well, at the deepest level, we want to control this. And to do that, we have to have some degree of free will and we have to be a separate self. Both of those are illusory. Or actually, it's more that they never were. It's very hard to talk about. So this sense of control, when you really feel into it, you realize you're doing it all the time. It's, and even the language comes like, who's doing it? Well, forget about all that. Okay? It's being done all the time. It's happening at the deepest level, this idea of control. So what happens when that stops? What's it like to fully be immersed in the flow of reality as reality itself without a doer, without any control? Pure helplessness is what it feels like from the standpoint of ego, from the standpoint of the mind. It feels like, oh my God, wait, what am I then? I'm not even a thing if I have no control over anything, not even the option to control. And the truth is that's exactly right. What are you? You're dead. That's death. That is death for the ego. That is the end of your world. That's it. What you thought was real, that you were an agent in the world moving through space and time doing things, is not true. And if that actually relaxes or dissolves, what is left can't be put into words, because it's everything and nothing. Suddenly you're not this. You're kind of nothing and everything simultaneously. It's total paradox, but it's freedom. And so this morning I'm sitting and I'm feeling into the sense of control. And Adya mentions this, and I've experienced this. What is guarding that sense of control, that sense of helplessness? You're avoiding helplessness, like you have some ability to do things. What's guarding it is some of the strongest, deepest, most primal human instincts and emotions. And one of them is rage. So right before rage is fear. So you're afraid, I don't want to be helpless, or I feel like I'm out of control, or something's happening here that I don't want, that's out of my control. And so the first reaction is fear. And then if you pass through that fear barrier, underneath that is rage. Because rage is the guardian. Rage is the guardian of helplessness, in a way, of control. Because the human energy will rage against the world, keep everything away from it, rather than look back and pass through that barrier into pure helplessness and realize there's no control at all. And you never had it. And all of it was an appearance, an illusion. And so what's left is radical freedom, unconditional acceptance of all that is, and spontaneous flowing life, which shows up as decisions being made, actions being taken, activism being performed if that's what's supposed to happen, so on and so forth. The play of life perfectly emerging without resistance, because control is resistance, and resistance is suffering. They're all the same. That's why Adya said, it's really all about this. It's all about control. And so, and Susan says, oh, rage. Yes, that's coming up over here. I see. Oh yeah, Susan, me too. And it's the kind of rage that is the scariest rage. Like, you will burn this entire thing down before you let this go a step further out of your control. You will flamethrow all of reality before you'll allow control to relax. And it shows up as just this inexplicable rage. You'll come up with reasons for it. Oh, this person did this to me, that person did that, and you're just raging, 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 raging. You've passed through fear into rage. Now, what happens if you pass through rage, if you recognize, okay, and it's really about recognition. You can't do anything. It's about going, oh, there's rage. Must be getting close. Right, as Joseph Campbell says, the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. Okay, so what's behind rage? Helplessness, control. So, yeah, Leslie, Emptiness Dancing, Adya's book is on Amazon. And, it's just such a wonderful book for all stages of realization, but it's particularly good for post-awakening, because there's so much that people don't talk about. You think, oh, you have awakening and then it's all unicorns and rainbows. No. Now you have no choice but to stare into the fire of reality. And from the standpoint of the separate mind and self and the illusion and the dream, that's terrifying. It's awful. It's painful. From the standpoint of reality, it's just what is. It's freedom, pure and simple. So getting through that means going through fear, going through rage, going through all the emotions that arise in the body, all the trauma, everything else, and feeling it, resolving it. Not resolving it. It's more that the resolution is the feeling of it, is the recognition that it's there, and allowing it without the resistance. And again, control. So now I'm sitting in meditation, and this pointing about control is felt deeply. It's felt at the root level to be true. Like, yeah, at the root of this is control. And then there's a feeling into what is it if control isn't there, if there was never control, if there was no me to control, what is here? What is that? It's a curiosity tone. What is this then? And that was felt into. And what is there is indescribability, inconceivability, the brilliance of this, just this, now. Perfect. And you're not there. The you that could control it, that could stand apart from it, never was. And it's just this. And what comes from here is laughter. Sometimes tears. But it's just a deep laughter like, it was all a misunderstanding. There was never control. There was never anything but this perfection. Eternally, not in time. Prior to and beyond time. Time is just another human construction of the mind. It's always been this. And it's radiant and it's unconditionally loving. It is love in itself. Love beyond love and hate, beyond the duality of love. When there's no pushing and pulling. There's no illusory character that can push and pull on it. Control is gone. In a sense, you've died. The you that cared, the you that wanted or didn't want is gone. So what's left? And it only is now. It can only happen, this relaxation, now. You can't do it. That's the paradox. If you try to give up control, you're trying to control, aren't you? It's a seeing. Where is their control? A questioning. And a stillness that pervades all of it. That is this eternal now. Acceptance of lack of control will give peace and freedom, Rebecca Ellis. Yes. Now remember, there's an intellectual acceptance. So a kind of an intellectualization, like, you know what, we really don't control a lot. There's so many factors that are out of our control. God, give me the strength to change the things I can and accept the things I can't, right? Change. That's quite intellectual. And it's fine. And then there's the experiential knowing in this moment. The inward looking for the one who might control anything. Where is control happening? Look. And then there's a seeing, a direct experience, a direct seeing, a knowing at an instinctual level that there never was control. And relinquishment happens. Letting go happens. And then everything is just as it is. Even now, I can't tell you where these words are coming from. I'm not authoring them. They're just coming out. It's all just happening. Why are you listening? Did you make a decision to listen? Find the one who decided to sit and listen on a weekday to this. It's all just happening. That doesn't mean that the next thing that happens isn't you going to take an action that changes something. And then you'll interpret that as, I did that. The egoic process arises and owns it and says, mine, my decision, instead of this happened, this happened, this happened. And life itself is seen to be the doer, if you can even say that. Aliveness is just living itself.